taking a walk actually activates both sides of our brain and and also um, kind of has the similar foundational concepts with EMDR, which is activating both sides of our brain, both sides of our body, that sort of thing. So there's actually some science behind why taking a walk works, you know.
It's Rusty Diamond, motherfucker. Yo, man. Boom, Miss Rusty. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Public Access Podcast, the podcast here on the Rusty Diamond Podcast Network. It's September 20 something, 23rd, uh, 2024, episode 588, maybe 587. Getting up there, almost 600. So thanks everyone for that. And today on the show, we have Gregory Meadows. Boom! Stuff. So I'm going to start off with a question you may have gotten already and probably gotten to talk about this some. What did you do when we had our shutdown? What was like your first, once you found out that you were going to be sitting there for a bit,
Yeah.
what was the first thing you did?
Um, I had a flash of what it was like to be sort of in an apocalyptic dystopian movie.
Okay. It, yeah, I mean, kind of
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, there's like, 100 movies just about, you know, some sort of outbreak or things like that. And I was like, oh man, it's actually happening. And I thought there was like, oh man, there's probably a chance I won't make it out of this for some whatever reason, right?
Right.
But fortunately, I did. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
And and also my work shifted from a lot of in-person stuff to a lot of virtual stuff in a very, very quick period of time.
And how did that work? Was that, were you okay with that, or was that sort of a learning curve?
Um, well, I was forced to be okay with it. Um, doing in-person work, you get to see micro expressions, you get to see a lot of nuanced things that just don't translate over Zoom or video. And but out of necessity, I acclimated very quickly. Um, I tell that from basically February, March, when it first was announced in 2020. And for 7 months, I lived, ate, slept, and worked in a like 10 by 12 room for 7 months straight.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Eh, by yourself?
Yeah, by myself. I actually had a roommate at the time, which,
Yeah.
kind of freaked me out too. So the only time I ever left the bedroom was to either leave the apartment, go get food and come back, or use the restroom. But I stayed in that room probably like 20 hours a day.
Okay. And
Yeah.
so where did that kind of put you? Like, what kind of was that? I mean, you
Yeah.
got to get very involved in what you're doing. Like, how, what is that?
Yeah. I mean,
Pretty beneficial.
it was a learning experience. One gift that I thought would be good for me was that I'm introverted. So I was like, oh, this is great. Like I'll just spend a bunch of time by myself, which I'm okay with already.
Right.
But it went to such an extreme that towards the end of that time, I was kind of having some existential pain, just like not handshaking anyone, no hugs with friends, um, nothing within 6 feet. So there was like some human interaction deprivation that I was experiencing. And I was doing my best to be true to kind of what they were telling us at the time, don't touch things and 6 feet and wear the mask and all those sorts of things. Um, so I did my best to stay congruent with that. And also, like, I wanted to survive. So I was like, I'm gonna do this until it's done. And I literally like fathomed the possibility that we would be doing it for years or something.
Yeah, I mean, with the movies and books and
Yeah,
other stories, yeah, I mean, it can easily be that. And so, yeah, it makes sense that that you'd have those thoughts and
yeah. It kind of felt
yeah,
like a mix of I Am Legend and like Vanilla Sky.
okay, yeah, well, yeah, I mean, and it kind of was. It's
Yeah.
and it yeah, so I mean, so what happened then when you were ready, or when you were ready, or when you kind of got the clear to be, letting the guard down a little bit? Um, or
Yeah.
is that like, somewhat at least?
Yeah. So in November of 2020, that's when I decided I would get my own place. So I literally moved out, got my own place, and quarantined myself for longer. I think gradually, as the news came out that like masks don't really help, and um, just different information, right? Gradually, it became easier and easier to feel more confident to like go out to the grocery stores because I had all my food delivered and all that sort of stuff. So
Oh yeah, okay.
yeah. So eventually it became just a gradual process of okay, I'm gonna go to the grocery store at the last hour of the night because that's the least amount of people. And I ended up getting COVID at the end of that year. Luckily, it was just a very, very tiring flu, and I made it through that first time. And I made it without having to get vaccinated. So
There you go.
yeah.
And because yeah, then that's a whole different
Yeah.
uh
Oh,
story. And I mean, especially with the stories and the books and movies, like,
yeah.
you got to think a little bit. You have something like, oh, okay, well, yeah, that could be
Yeah.
a whole thing. And so then, I mean, so were you able to, like, I don't know, what was kind of like the part where you're able to maybe figure out something new with your clients? If you like some micro expressions you might be able to pick up that were not there when you first started the
Yeah.
online.
Yeah. I had to ask a lot more questions, right? Hey, are you feeling this? Hey, are you experiencing that? Um, and sometimes my clients are the kids and sometimes my clients are the parents, um and so asking parents a lot of times like, okay, tell me more. Okay, tell me more. So but eventually we were able to go back to in person. So um it felt a little bit easier, but I don't think until like 2022 did I, you know, feel like, okay, we've got herd immunity, and you know um the people that are not going to be with us are already not with us, and okay, it's going to be just it's going to be another type of flu. So
Yeah. And where were you in the world?
I was in Denver, Colorado.
Okay. All right. Are you not there anymore?
I'm still here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you, so have you lived there for a long time?
I've lived here twice. I lived here from 2007 to 2014, then went on a little sabbatical for a little while and came back in 2018.
Okay. Have you been to Casa Bonita?
I have.
How was that?
Um, really overpriced campy tacos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was this recently or was this
No, a long
before?
time ago, like before the shutdown and all that sort of stuff. So I got to see like OG Casa Bonita.
Yeah. Yeah. I think when I went there, I don't think I went there in like 2019 and it was, yeah, the food was, it was okay. It wasn't, anything,
Yeah.
but, do you go there during the day or at night or,
Um, yeah, I think I went there in the evening for a dinner and it was just long line, mediocre food, and overall, you get to see people swan dive into a bucket, So
yeah. Not,
yeah.
I mean, not something you get to see too often when you're eating.
Yeah, 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 exactly.
Yeah. Um, okay. Yeah, I don't know. It was a wild experience.
It's a box to check.
Right, right. Yeah, it's something. So what attracted you to go to Denver?
I had originally lived in Phoenix, and everything's brown there because it's the desert. And I kind of had felt some restlessness. I think I probably have some gypsy genetics, genes,
Yeah,
and I've moved around a little bit, but I was in Phoenix for 5 years and kind of wanted to be someplace that was more lush, more green, more sort of environmentally focused, very progressive as far as like recycling and da 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 da. So um I came here to visit and fell in love and was like, okay, I'm moving here. So
is the spot.
yeah, this is the spot.
And then so did you I mean what was looking for like real estate for your business then? What was that like?
Oh,
Uh
yeah. Well, yeah, coming here the first time, I was just looking for like a room. I was like, okay, I just want to get here, get settled in. Um, Real estate back then was actually affordable, um, especially post housing crisis. But I did buy a condo here and then sold that, and then and then I left for a little while, came back and then bought another place here in 2021 before the interest rate, you know,
yeah. Uh so do you have an office then? Or are you all online?
online.
Oh,
I,
cool.
well,
Okay, so then you're right. That is your office.
yeah, yeah. So I will
Okay.
I do mostly virtual stuff, but if people are local, I'll meet with them.
Where do you meet with them?
I can meet with them out at a park, Starbucks, any place where, you know, um, it would be appropriate, depending on the subject matter, right? Like,
Right,
don't want someone breaking down in Starbucks or anything like that. So,
right. So then, okay. Um, yeah, that works out all right. And then so yeah, you just meet them kind of wherever. And
mm.
uh so then are you focused more on local clients then, or are you working with more virtual clients?
Most of the clients are local, but um, I can take clients I have a client from New York right now. So we just deal with the time zone difference.
Yeah, and 3 hours isn't or not no 2 hours isn't too bad,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
yeah, that ain't It's just when you get the Australian people or New Zealand people, then
Yeah,
those
yeah.
ones are tough. Those ones
Yeah,
are
you have to
hard.
navigate like your daytime and their nighttime.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm up at 4 or 5 o'clock, and I'm on the East Coast. And I have a lot of friends up on the West Coast, so it's always weird. It's like I'm waking up, and they're still out at night, and
Yeah.
yeah, like okay, well, this is how I am now. But it works. It's something to adjust to, but
Yeah.
yeah, you're up early. So then when you're what do you like to do between clients? Like if you have one that's almost back to back, what do you like to do in that time between?
Yeah, so if it's a really intense session, I like to like disconnect and I go for a walk. I live close to some of the best parks in the city. So I'll get out, just go for a walk. Um, Sometimes I need to like check out with a little bit of social media scrolling for a minute and do that. Or sometimes like, take a break, get a snack, that sort of thing.
Yeah. And so then I don't know, I always felt walking does a lot for people, and it's a very underrated thing to do. And I don't know, I don't know. It was always good for being creative for me, or just yeah, being able to chill out. And I mean, it's one of those things that like saying for someone to calm down or take a walk.
Yeah.
It's great advice, but it's one of those things that I don't know how to say to someone. I assume, and I have kind of a bit of a deadpan delivery in my voice, and so to me telling someone to calm down or take a walk, when I'm meaning it for a good thing, I'm like it would benefit you, but telling someone that when they're already pretty heated isn't always the best thing. But
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
taking a walk actually activates both sides of our brain and and also um, kind of has the similar foundational concepts with EMDR, which is activating both sides of our brain, both sides of our body, that sort of thing. So there's actually some science behind why taking a walk works, you know.
Have you ever thought about uh, taking a walk with your client to do some, or does that ever happen? Like when you're at the park or anything, do you ever go for
Yeah,
a walk
yeah.
with them?
Yeah, yeah. So I have had clients that we'll go on a walk and we just kind of go real slow and we're talking during the time. And actually it's actually a good thing because it can help them process stuff, but also um it gives us something to do, right? Like we're walking side by side and moving forward and kind of allows them to not have to, directly face me like in an office setting or something like that. So it actually can help depending on the subject matter.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that would be a pretty nice way. I mean, I think that would be a good selling point too for for I don't know how many other people who help people out will offer to take them on a walk, but like I
Yeah,
don't know. Yeah, if I could, I don't know, I'd have a hard time, I think, having people close their eyes. They don't have to close their eyes, but usually they close their eyes. So I don't know how well it would be for me to take people walking, but
right.
um I love that idea. That's I think that
Well,
would be
it's very analog and it forces us to slow down, right? So with
right.
racing thoughts, we tend to have a racing heart, a racing blood pressure, these sorts of things. But walking creates a threshold, right? Because there's only so fast you can walk, right? Before
Right.
it's a jog or a run or whatever. So it kind of, in a sense, is it's a very analog way of slowing down, noticing things, breathing, paying attention to what's going on in our body, and that sort of thing. So it gives us a lot of feedback if we're open to it.
Yeah. And okay. Yeah, I mean, I think that'd just be a, a nice way. I would have been more open to that, doing some sort of walking therapy. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I think that'd
Oh,
be
we'll talk after the call.
yeah.
You will sleep better than you have ever slept. You've never been this relaxed. Are you ready to change your life? I'm Rusty Diamond, certified hypnotist. You don't need to leave your house. You can stay in your bed. You can stay in your favorite chair. You just need a computer or your phone. You can get a hold of me. Stay at home. I'll make your life better.
Hypnosisisgreat.com.
So then what what got you into doing your work? Like, was there I mean, you probably answer this on other podcasts, and so, but I like knowing. I li-
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. So, um, I have a saying, out of your greatest wound can come your greatest gift. And so, my childhood wasn't that awesome, and wandered into kind of high school and didn't really know what I wanted to do. Kind of knew what I was good at. I was really good at working with younger people and older people. And talked to the guidance counselor, and he's like, "Hey, what do you want to do?" And I'm like, "I don't know." He's like,
Right.
"Well, what are you good at?" And I was like, "I think I'm pretty good at talking with people and kind of helping them figure things out around problems and stuff." And he's like, "Well, why don't you go be a therapist?" And I was like, "Okay." And so went to school. Yeah,
Uh, you knew in high school, and you were ready, just okay, let's go, let's do this.
yeah, yeah. So there was when I was a kid, there wasn't this like I want to be a firefighter or an astronaut or anything. I really just wasn't geared towards that way, and also just I didn't have the typical. Well, I had probably had the typical '80s childhood, but it was
Yeah.
back then. There wasn't such thing as trauma. Trauma wasn't a buzzword yet, and things like
Right.
that. So yeah, so went to college, got a psychology degree, um, and then started working with kids, um, and then got my life coaching certification, and then just continue to work with kids and families ever since, with some minor like detours.
What were those minor detours?
I was a CCO for a tech startup in Atlanta, and they are now an eight-figure company. So yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
And you just did that? You someone said, "Hey, come on in," and you're like, "Oh, okay, well, yeah, I'll take a little break. I'm
yeah,
my own boss. I
yeah,
can I can tell myself to take a sabbatical."
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
not really a sabbatical, but I mean, like,
yeah, yeah.
you know,
Just like a professional detour. But it was good because this work can be difficult, and it can create compassion fatigue. And in 2014, that's kind of where I was at in life. I was like, okay, I was just burned out and needed a break, and kind of wandered into knowing the right people, and got the opportunity to be a chief communications officer, and did that for a while, and then eventually um, needed to come back to Denver because that felt more like home to me.
yeah, and that's it's understandable. And so, yeah, you had, uh, yeah. get back there and do what you do. And so, oh, yeah, then it's a lot different. I haven't been to Atlanta, so I don't know.
I mean, if
Wasn't for you.
yeah, it wasn't for me. It is for some people, obviously, but it just wasn't for me.
Um, where now you don't have to say where you went to college, but like what area did you go to college? Was that in Colorado too?
No, it was actually in Orlando, Florida, at UCF.
Okay. So okay, yeah, you got went to Florida. Okay. How was Florida? How'd you fare in Florida?
Um, it was good. I enjoyed my time there. Lived in Orlando for 5 years, going to school and everything. Um, it was a great experience. And of course, college for a lot of people is a very formative time. You're sort of figuring out your adult identity and you're exiting childhood, right? So like nobody's getting you up in the morning. It's just you. And
Right.
and no one's forcing you to get to class or to do the right thing anymore. So it was a really formative time in my life. Learned a lot about myself um, and learned a lot about psychology and people and that sort of thing.
So were you just taking a lot of psychology classes then in college? Did you have any that were like pretty like I don't know, like one that stuck out as really interesting that you remember, or one thing that you remember learning from it, or is it all just I mean, it was more than 3, 4 years ago, I assume.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I took a lot of psych classes, so cognitive psychology, learning about how the brain works, really important. So because it translates to behavior, right? So,
right.
but I did take philosophy classes and poli sci classes because they're people oriented or thought people oriented. So my favorite classes were kind of philosophy related. I tend to lean into the existential and stuff, and so I enjoyed that.
Philosophy was wild. Um it was fun, but then it was one of those things like, okay, I could do this, but then what do I do? My major wasn't anything smart that wasn't a smart idea, and like, but yeah, philosophy was something that I enjoyed. I thought that was a fun one. I did okay at that. For not like I don't know. But then yeah, what do you do with the if you're a philosophy major,
Yeah, yeah. Well, you become a teacher. That's
yeah. And that
and
was
ask a lot of great questions of younger people. You know.
yeah. Um yeah, so yeah, I guess yeah, I don't know. Maybe I need to find uh some of that again, but probably not. I don't know. Did you ever have you ever thought about going back to school? Has that ever been something that you ever thought about, or are you just like
Yeah,
I'm good and I'll do some
yeah,
more education other
yeah.
ways?
I've thought about going back, but it's really kind of situational. Like I was never an extremely like academic person. I'm not interested in research and things like that. I'm interested in practical application. So if I were to go back, it would be more like practical application theory, versus like, I don't want to publish papers or anything like that. I want to just be I want to be down in it helping people. So,
Yeah, yeah. And so, if you wanna have people, if you want to help people, how can they find you? How can they work with you?
yeah, so I'm on Facebook, Gregory with Walking Meadows, Instagram at Walking Meadows, um, and I have a virtual parenting class that I teach in the spring semester and fall semester. I also have a free parenting support group that they can get involved with. And that's also, I think it's parent support group at Walking Meadows. And they can email me, Gregory at Walking Meadows.
Cool. That sounds easy. And so, thanks so much for being on. Got to have a conversation, not knowing where it was going, and got to spots where I needed to be. So, thanks for doing that. And yeah,
Thanks, Rusty. I
had a
appreciate
good, yeah, heck yeah. And then we'll stay in touch, and I hope you have a great rest of the day. All right,
it. Yeah, thank you.
you bet. All right, that's Gregory Meadows. So, thank you everybody for being here on the Rusty Diamond Podcast Network, listening to the Public Access Podcast, the Podcast. Check me out, rustydiamond.net. You can find anything you need to know about me on there. Anything else? I don't know. If you can't find it there, I don't know what to tell you. So thank you, everyone. And that is the show. Man, boom.
It's Rusty Diamond, motherfucker. It's Rusty Diamond, motherfucker.